Hello, I'm so happy to be back. And this is Dawn Davis with the Healist Podcast, where we discover new ways to heal. And today I have the honor to have Carli on here. And Carli is somebody who I have worked with. She's coached with me, but Carli is a magical being. And I had to have her on here because you guys, she is healing in ways and supporting women in such a unique manner that it from the moment I talked to her, she lit me up. And when I work with somebody and they can just blast my heart open, I'm like, this is a full body yes. And I know you guys are going to feel the same way. So, Carli, welcome. I'd love for you to share with everybody a little bit about what you're up to in the world, who you are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I was just a small town girl growing up in Southwest Louisiana, doing what I was told until one day I had a life change and I got a divorce after 22 years. And that story and that situation allowed my heart to burst wide open and try to figure out like who I was. And I had no idea because I built this castle on falsities and promises that other people made, the culture, family, all the things. And so through that breaking open of the heart, I found music. I literally asked God, I said, who am I? And music, it came forth. I said, I think I like to sing. The next minute, the producer came down the street from Nicaragua. He helped me write my first song. And then all of a sudden, I just started, it's like a door opened into music and my heart it blew wide open, and so I started writing music, and next thing you know I've got 8 songs, and realizing that each song was literally a healing of a massive timeline in my heart, just
Mm.
my belief systems, and then opening me up to my own love for the first time, and then
Wow.
the voice and just hearing it and going, wow, this sounds amazing, it's me, is this real? And it was, and it just became a beautiful thing, a beautiful pathway to healing. So fast forward, I've got 5 songs on Spotify, all the major platforms. I got 3 more coming, and I've partnered with a good friend of mine from college to form a Soul Secrets podcast and retreats where we help women heal, connect, validate their stories, cry ugly, be
Yeah.
together in circle time, have great guests coming in, and we're doing hosting our third retreat coming up here in Galveston, Texas. And I mean, life is blown right wide open.
Wow, Carly, that is so fun. So, did you used to sing when you were like, was this something where like you always thought like I want to like sing someday, I want to be on a stage, or was it just one day it just opened up?
I have a few core memories, and one memory was sitting on the couch, with mom and dad. It was a fold-out couch, and there was a Zenith TV. I don't know if you remember those TVs; they're
Yes.
really old. And Star Search was on, and I was 6 years old, and I remember thinking, "Oh yeah, I love that," but I didn't say a single word.
Oh,
But mom said, she said, Carly, do you want to be on that stage? And I went, no, but inside I was going, mm-hmm.
wow.
And I just remember, just probably singing in the shower or part of my comedic routine, making people laugh and just doing a lot of fun things, but not really taking it seriously or thinking like, hey, this is a thing.
Mm.
Sounds good. So that's
Hmm.
what I thought. I just remember those memories and I thought, hey, God, I think I like to sing, but I had no clue until it opened up for me.
God, it's so interesting to me because so many times I meet women that are on this path, and maybe some of our listeners are like this, where their whole life they've been working towards something, maybe climbing the corporate ladder, having children, and that creative energy gets suppressed because they get kind of locked into this type of life where it's really busy and kind of they have to hustle to keep up with all the things that are going on. And, life can be really busy. But that creative life force, I feel like, is such, it's part of our divinity, right? It's part of what makes us magical. And so for you to rediscover that, what do you think was the catalyst? Because I know our listeners are going, I bet they're thinking, I have something creative about myself too, but I don't even know what that is. So how did you even like unlock that for yourself? What was the catalyst?
I mean, I have to tell you, so the catalyst for me was getting tired of the patterns, getting tired of the same situation in life, like going around the mountain, misery, thinking I had to carry the boulder uphill. Had the corporate job, 3 kids, house, husband, but things were not in integrity. And finally, after so many years, I asked the question, I said, is there more? And the
Mm,
answer was yes. But I had to get tired. And I feel like that is a key for people. It's like if they can know that they can be tired of this pattern and they can do something about it. And it was when I made that decision to say, wait, something ain't right. I
mhm,
decided to walk through that door of realignment in my relationship, discovering things that were not in alignment. And man, it was painful. But knowing that if you can get through everything that you know and let it all go, which is very difficult.
mm,
Then get through the unknown piece. It's the darkness. It's the part where you can't see anything. You have no idea. But once you get through that and you just start asking the questions, the doors are all around you. They're all inside of you, ready to be open, you know.
mm.
And that was it. That was my catalyst.
Wow. So I want to say that again out loud because I think this really needs to land for people. Is there more? And I think so many times I have seen people settle. Not because they're like wanting to settle, like not because they're like, oh yeah, this is, this is all I want, but it's almost maybe where they think it's selfish to want more and to have these desires in your heart. And so when you ask that question, I would imagine it wasn't just like roses and unicorns and like the sky, sunshine popping out and like, yes, there's more for you. And this is, here you go on a silver platter. It kind of sounds like, and I want you to tell me if this is true, that like you said, you had to go into this darkness for a little bit, into this unknown. So when you went there, how did it feel knowing that there was more, but that you had to walk this kind of pathway? Like some people call it the dark night of the soul, right?
I'd say, I mean, for me, it felt like something was being ripped out of my chest. I mean, just letting go of everything that you've built. If you can just imagine, building a life, thinking that you're checking every box, doing everything that you wanted to do, and realize that as soon as you chose your truth for one time, it would dissolve everything. It's like you have to be willing to let it all go. You have to be willing to let it burn to the ground. And I'm talking about everything. I mean,
Mhm.
every dynamic. It's everything that you feel has made you worthy.
Mm.
But if it's not in alignment, it's a false sense of worthiness.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
not true. It's not true worthiness. It's you're saving face, you're doing what you got to do. But if you can get through the unknown, which is it'll bring you down to wanting to leave the earth type of thing, like, oh my God, I can't do this. But
Mhm.
if you can just keep going, if you can just seek and look, and if you ask the question, you will get a teacher on your path.
Mm.
You'll get a teacher on your path if you're willing to look,
Mhm.
willing to go deep.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
know I have lived I've walked a very similar path, I should say, and I've had different initiation. I always call them initiations. That's my light and breezy way of calling it. It's like where I've had to let go of everything as well. And it's terrifying. And yet it is the most liberating thing that you can do to step into a path that is more about you being your authentic self than you trying to fit into this like costume and this like way of being. And I think once you realize that the path that you've been on feels kind of performative or like you might be doing it for mom and dad or like whoever is influencing you, once you start to realize that, it's almost like there's no going backwards. And I know for you, like just knowing what I know of you, once you started to walk through that path and went into the unknown, it was like there was no going back, right?
There was absolutely no going back. Number one, because the honeysuckle is so sweet. It's like when you let go of people need to understand that when you're asking for truth, you have to make an exchange. You have
Ooh, talk about that, Carly.
so
This is true.
exchange. There's like a lyric on a song that I hasn't put it out yet, but it was like, you can ask for truth to be revealed in your life, but get your heart ready because it's going to be fire. Not going to feel good releasing the lies, something, 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 something. But just the whole idea is like you have to let go of your grip. And
Mhm.
truth will expand you and gift you with more of you if you let go of the grip. And the grip is tight. Culture, tight grip. Religious expectation, tight grip. Families love, tight grip. And I've experienced different people not able to handle it. So they end up staying where they're at or they have left the earth because they couldn't handle believing that something was greater. But if you exchange, that truth, you're going to get a honeysuckle. You're going to get a part of you that is just so brilliant, so illuminating. And other stuff will leave and clear out of your system, and you'll be able to experience more of yourself, and your reality will change. The love that you are, you magnetize it more. I
Mhm.
mean, it's outstanding.
It is. I
It's
wholeheartedly agree with you. It is so beautiful when you open that doorway and get to the other side. And so for you, it's almost like you blasted your throat chakra open. Because what I hear you saying is like you were living maybe an inauthentic existence compared to what you're doing now. And there's no judgment, right? We look at that and go, so many of us have that path, where we wake up one day and we're like, what am I doing? Like, how did I get here? And so you had the bravery and the courageous heart to say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then now that your throat chakra is open, you're creating music. So this is what really I told Carly this recently. I said, I am so impressed that you decided to make music. Your voice is beautiful. I love your music. But a lot of people, going back to this creativity, they are like, yeah, I have some creativity. Like I want to do something, but they have no idea where to start. So for you just to recognize, okay, I want this to flow through me. And for the listeners, we'll share some of your songs, but the storytelling in your songs is such a transmission of healing because
Mhm.
it's where I think other women or even men could relate to like, oh gosh, yeah, I know that feeling or that essence of what she's singing. So yeah, I love how your music is storytelling.
Yes, and I mean the reason that happened it's so many levels, creating music. First of all, as a recovering perfectionist, it was very difficult because I had to move through the imperfections of people not delivering it to me at 100%, or maybe I didn't know what to do, but I had to keep going and I had to just continue to gather the pieces until the song was created in a satisfactory way that would reflect my hard work and my toil and my past. I wanted to give it a beautiful send off. I did not want it to just disappear into oblivion with a divorce paper. I wanted it to be beautiful and lovely and amazing. And so that's what I did. And I was like, not going to let go of any of these stories until the music became beautiful. And I have to tell you too, is that nobody can encourage you into the depth of where you want to go. They can help you a measure, but they're not going to be able to get you to go as deep as you want to go and validate you.
Mm-hmm.
So with storytelling, it's like if you have a voice and you want to write and you want to sing, you can do it. I don't care who told you you couldn't sing. Your whole essence is a song. Every
Mm-hmm.
word that you say is beautiful, and you get to do all of it anytime you want, starting now.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes, and I think to myself, I love singing, but this is a thing I think about you is I never thought for me, I was like, oh, that's where I think you're so courageous because I never was like, oh yeah, let me just put pen to paper and create a song and find a project. Okay, this is where it's so interesting. You magnetized towards you. It almost feels like as soon as you decided to do this, the universe, God, however you want to call it, just started to send people your way. How did that come together so that you have songs on Spotify? Because for most people, they might be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write some songs and like sing it in my shower or something. But you're like, no, I'm gonna like go perform these. I'm gonna go get it on Spotify and iTunes and all these things. How did all that happen?
I mean, everything happened with a step. So it was like the first part of, pattern recognition was me going on my personal healing path for 4 years.
Mhm.
As soon as I said, I'm tired of this, I gotta go, God, get me out of here. That's when the first mystical pastor came into my path. And so
Mhm.
he became the person to help kind of deliver me from religious expectation, something that says you have to do something to be worthy. You have to pay penance to be this powerful being.
Mhm.
You're not amazing out of the gate. You gotta find your worthiness and your worth. And so that was a big one for me. And then after that, I kept seeking. I kept seeking. I was like meditating and finding new teachers, and it was lighting me up like a fire inside. And when I said, it was actually when I was singing backup at church for a year or two. I
Okay.
did that just because I felt the push of like God say, you better get up there and tell him you can sing. And I went, okay. So I started singing, but there were so many powerful singers up there. Like, I mean, like Aretha Franklin, powerful singing. I could not even hear my own voice. I was just whispering, but I
Wow.
heard all these melodies in my head, and I was like, is anybody hearing these things, But as soon as I quit and said, you know what? I got to be heard somehow. As soon as I quit, I got an invitation to lead this massive, music service in Florida. And then I met the producer through a Facebook Messenger. I was with a friend and she reached out and said, hey, I like your music. He said, oh, cool. Thank you so much. He said, I'll be coming to Houston, in 2 days. Where do you live? She said, Houston. He said, well, I'm going to be in this little suburb, about 30 miles away called Kingwood. Where do you live? She said, Kingwood. He comes from Nicaragua, 2 miles down the street. I invite him to this music leadership service thing that I was doing and invited him to sing some of his songs. So
Oh,
he did.
wow.
And that turned into like he was such a loving person. It just turned into like him being such a servant and helping my heart heal. And that's how it started. And then I met other producers and tried different things. And the process of making music is the process of finding your voice, your desires, what feels good. So it's not so much like, is this note right? It's more
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I sound a little shaky. So what? I love the way I sound. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to put these headphones on and I'm going to hear some kind of background music and it's going to make me think like I can sing good. And then all of a sudden you start singing better,
Wow.
start improving and your voice changes and your octaves change and you expand.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever even take singing lessons?
I did, but not growing up. I did it after I
Oh.
met that producer. I went, let me go take a lesson, which I learned a few things. I did it for 4 months and then that was it.
Oh gosh. So what I'm hearing you say is that when you decided to show up for yourself in this way and follow your passion and excitement around the music, then the next breadcrumb, the next thing started to show up on your path, and all you were doing was just being a big yes. And then things just kind of came together.
Yes, I can't say that enough. It's like if there's only one moment in time, which is the present moment, you
Hmm.
have to find the breadcrumb here,
Yep.
not over there on the stage where you think you're going to go. Yes, you can imagine it, you can meditate yourself into it and call it forth, but the breadcrumb is right here in this podcast with my daughters, outside with the mailman. I don't care what it is,
Mm-hmm.
because God will speak through every single person and give you that crumb.
Mm.
The thing is, though, sometimes it's not a shout. A lot of times it's a whisper,
Yes.
a tiny thing. And
Hmm.
so you can look at it and go, oh, yes, I will. Yes, I will. And that's been a process of, developing that trust with self, is seeing more breadcrumbs and then trusting it. And then the breadcrumbs come and then you realize, oh my God, I'm sitting on a pile of breadcrumbs.
Yeah, and it's not until you look backwards that you see the intricacy of how all of this wove together and created this reality. And you and I have talked about, because you and I, when it comes to being dreamers and taking leaps of faith and seeing the vision of what's possible. I mean, out of so many people I've ever met, you have one of the biggest visions. Like you're like a huge visionary of what's possible. And I love to play in that world too. And I remember you and I talking about how it's so important to have the vision, but to exactly what you're saying, that it's not always going to be exciting. Like, I think sometimes people need to hear that when they're on the creative path of freedom and becoming who they really are. I think there's this idea that it's always going to be like dreamy and fun. And like you said, like the breadcrumbs are going to be like shouting at you, but really, sometimes it's very subtle, and sometimes you're just having to like clean your house and be a normal person, and then you go get to perform and do all these things. So I'd love to hear your take on that, because I think that sometimes we get these dreams, and what keeps people from actually moving into them is I think that they think it's going to be like a movie or something, but it's actually, it's both, right?
Yes, I'd say definitely. I feel like part of calling it forth is honoring and being a good steward of where you're at.
Hmm.
Knowing that, yes, you're in the kitchen cooking, but you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on this podcast. I'm going to host a retreat. The kids are happy. Ah, like everything is beautiful. And it's more than just one universe that you're dealing with. You know, you're in your kids' universes too, and they want to play with you and they want to create with you. And when you do that and you kind of embrace everyone in your household and everything that you're doing, it's literally just blowing, fire to the flame or air to the fire, whatever you call it, to make that fire bigger. And it happens on its own timing. It's like the universe or God, it happens on its in the timing that it's perfect for. And I know what it feels like to force it, and you end up having to backpedal and fix things and things like that. But there's a greater way that you can just kind of allow it, and you really can go with different flow points. You can have moments of orgasmic bliss, like holy what, which lights you up long enough for the next one.
So true. Oh my God, I love that orgasmic bliss.
Yeah.
So when you are working with women, so how do you support them in finding, because I'm assuming you're helping them kind of find their own story.
That's exactly right. It's kind of like my favorite thing to do. I really feel like being able to validate your own story is the key.
Hmm.
Validate it, create art with it, talk about it, share it, let it go, and remember who you are. And so that's what we do with the retreats. We'll have circle time, or maybe I'll sing a song, or maybe I'll tell my story, or maybe I'll just listen and watch how the mirror, unfolds, and how it's like trusting the divine in all of it. There can be someone there that is 80 years old and someone who's 30. And so the 80-year-old has already been to the future and can tell the 30-year-old where she's going. So at the last retreat, we had so many mirrors, so many people with special needs children, like three of us. And so,
Really?
yes. And so it was quite an amazing experience to have them be at different levels and talk about the beauty and the power and the unlocking that a special needs child can provide the world, the asset in their family. And I mean, you can't orchestrate that,
Mm-mm.
becomes what it becomes. And
The fact that, well, and I always see that when it comes to groups, there seems to be a common thread or theme that weaves through them.
mhm.
And so you're saying that that thread was like a few of them having special needs children.
Yes, and I have a brother that has special needs as well. He's got Down syndrome, and so
Okay.
I have a great perspective of him because he's quite amazing. And
Mhm.
you might have a new mom who has a young baby and she's trying to figure it out, and lots of things. So.
Oh, that is so cool. So when you meet somebody and they're kind of new to healing, so some of our listeners might just be kind of starting out on their journey.
Mhm.
What do you suggest is a good way to get started with all of it?
A couple things. I mean, one thing they can do is journal it all out, journal your feelings, journal all the stuff, let it out. But one thing that's so important is stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you are outside on a jog in the woods, which are my absolute favorite thing to do, if you can create stillness, I mean, with no earbuds, just stillness, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, you can observe your thoughts and try to clear your mind, and then start doing what you love to do. Explore something, make it known. I want to learn about women's embodiment, make it known, and then explore, and then it's going to come to you, and then you can find out if you like this avenue or not. I'd
Hmm.
say just reach out, look for it, and you'll find mirrors and realize more of who you are. And then you're just going to be blown away and totally explode with excitement.
I love that because I think I can hear somebody in my head being almost cynical saying, well, but I'm not amazing and I don't have that story. My life has been kind of mundane, or I don't know. There's those people that kind of think that they don't have much going on.
A lot of people feel that way. Everyone does until they know it isn't true. And I have to say that I've been able to reach a lot of women in different ways. One way was I was at a Reiki level 1 certification class with 3 or 4 people in this beautiful mansion on the river 2 years ago. And
Mhm.
the woman hosting was a corporate, very intelligent lady. She was on a leave of absence, and we were having our, whatever we were doing, a little circle time and stuff. And for me, it wasn't really planned, but I held her feet and I just put my hands on her feet. And she just started crying and
Mhm.
asking the question. She was like, I don't know why I'm crying. Like, what is this? She didn't have words for what the love was and what healing can look like.
Mm.
So a lot of times it's like that. It's if you just open your heart to others, they're going to receive something
Mhm.
that will bypass the mind. The heart will open up, and then they're going to start to ask the questions.
Mhm.
It comes in a way that is just so lovely and so different. And that's how I do it. I just do it everywhere that I'm at.
That's what makes you so special. I feel like the way that you interact with others is you come from that open heart. And I don't think people realize what the depths of embodiment can do when you interact with somebody. Because if somebody's really in their head, because you're talking about stillness as a way, like if somebody's new to healing,
Hmm.
stillness is the way to get there.
Hmm.
And you've also talked about acknowledging your story and asking deeper questions of, what's next and what I want more. What does that look like? And all these things. And you're someone who's living that, right? Like, you're not just like saying it and got to a certain point and then it's like, okay, I'm done with that. Like, no, you're continuing on your path.
Hmm.
And I feel like you live from that heart place, which is, and I talk about this, and some of our listeners might be like, well, what does that even mean? But that is a transmission. Because I know when I've been around women and I interact with them, and somebody's like maybe in their head, like that corporate woman, maybe she's so used to like being in her head, analyzing and oh my gosh, and thinking about like the next thing she has to do, that when you interact with her, you don't feel her. And then there's the other people, and this is, by the way, no judgment on anybody. We all are at different stages and seasons of our lives. But then there's, where you're at, where you're really trying to stay heart centered. And people can feel that. And sometimes when you interact with somebody that's closed off and your energy's open, it's all of a sudden like you're opening up this like portal or gateway for them to feel something that they didn't even know was available to them.
Yes, I mean, the way that I see it is that, well, I said a prayer years ago when I was, learning about the Bible and even deep mystical things within the Bible and saints and all the things. And one of the things I prayed was I said, hey, God, help me love people, like love what you love, hate what you hate, right? Hate injustice, love people. And so I said that prayer because I didn't know how. I just felt like maybe I couldn't love myself at the time, wasn't where I needed to be. But through that, I've been able to not only connect and heal myself, but to connect and heal others. It's like the way that I view people is they have so much to offer.
Hmm.
They're an entire universe.
Hmm.
And when you connect with someone, whether it's me, being a nurse, doing nursing stuff and taking care of them, the beauty and the miracles that open up at every interaction. I mean, it's just like you can't not do this. You just cannot. I mean,
You're a permission slip for people, Carly, because I don't think healing has to look any specific way. Like, so for somebody to say that they're a healer or somebody to receive healing, it's not, it doesn't have to be in this formal setting. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It can be you singing on a stage. It can be you in your nursing where you're just like touching somebody and you're just in that place of your heart. And all of a sudden they just feel seen or heard. And I love that for people listening because I think there's an idea of everything has to look a certain way. And it's quite the opposite.
Right. It doesn't have to look like that at all. I mean, that can be great, to facilitate and create things, and that works for some people too. But
Mhm.
I love the intimate spaces. And I was thinking about it the other day, I was like, that's why I'm loving doing home health because people are vulnerable because they have to be. They
Mhm.
need help with healing, physical healing, but
Mhm.
also spiritual healing, mental healing, all the things. So I go in there like so excited because I'm like, ooh, I get to validate something in their life. I get to hear them. I get to bring joy. I get to do all these things. And they just open up like a flower because maybe they haven't experienced that growing up. Like their parents weren't able to provide that, or they never just had anyone say, hey, what you have to say and how you think is freaking amazing. And I want to hear it. Tell me.
Mm. When you this brings up a really interesting converse or question for me with what you know the medical industry and how you help people. Where do you think, like, how do you think that that can bridge with more alternative types of ways, to heal, alternative and complementary medicine? I'm just so curious because I know some people just are like, okay, if they're in that field, they're like, okay, you need this medicine or you need this thing. So I'm just so curious your take on it.
I have a beautiful take on it. I love this subject. It's like we come to the earth and we don't know that we're infinite and immortal yet. And so we're walking out this life of expanded light and allowing love in and walking in a high vibration and to create and have miracles and all these things. But I mean, I haven't figured out how to heal every part of my body yet. Hence Western medicine, hence the brilliance of doctors learning how to help us human beings heal when we don't know how to heal yet. We haven't put the things in our body to fuel it with the right things from the earth. We haven't given ourselves rest and all the things. And so my take on it is that, medicine was born in the darkness. It was born when people didn't know how to heal, or maybe they did. Maybe our grandmothers did. And
Mhm.
maybe we modernized it and made it way more complicated. And maybe we
Mhm.
created medicine to grab onto this molecule and that molecule, but yet you have to give away some of your body because you have side effects and things like that. So, what
Mhm.
I'd say is we can all work together beautifully, but my God, if we can activate who we are and start to love every part of our body, we can heal our body with love.
Mhm.
We can heal it with other people's, processes and what they've done. I mean, I love learning new modalities and things. So, my desire for Western medicine is to have a combination in the medical schools of energetics, of the ability to, hey, we're more than spirit, soul, and body. We're more
Mhm.
than a physical heart. I mean, this is because I mean, I've gone to different doctors, and they're like, yes, you have this symptom. Here's the medicine. I mean, so black and white. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot. I cannot. Can I lay hands on you real quick, doctor? Let me put my hand on your heart real quick so you can just like expand and
Yeah.
feel it.
Let me just open you up right here. Let me
I'm
put
gonna
some music in your ears. Oh
Yeah,
my.
they probably think I'm crazy because I'm like, I'm gonna think about it. Let me try to heal it really quick. I'll be back, in 4 weeks and we'll see where we're at.
Oh my God. But it's so true. I mean, everything you're saying, and that's why I love alternative and complementary medicine because I don't think it's black or white. I don't think it's Western medicine's evil. I don't think that complementary and alternative medicine is just so woo. And so, there's a place for all of it. And I think right now there's a big bridge that's forming that's saying, okay, hey, yes, you can use maybe this Western medicine thing and use this. I just told my girlfriend who had gallbladder surgery, I said to her, yeah, yeah, because it was kind of acute. I was like,
Mhm.
get the gallbladder surgery, but
Mhm.
do the work to figure
Right,
out emotionally why that came to be in the first place.
right.
Do the healing work. And so she did all this healing and all this stuff to make sure that she was communicating with that organ. And it's to some people that is just so weird and so random.
Mhm.
But I know you get it because it's not just a like take this because what I hear you really saying is if somebody just gives you a medicine, it's not gonna answer those deeper questions of why. It's just kind of more of a band-aid at some point.
It's not going to answer the questions, and there's no shame in it because we're learning. There's no shame in feeling good and trying something while you're still learning. But what I find is Western medicine and pills, what it ends up being is it's almost like, okay, well, I give up. Let me take that pill. I always have diabetes, or I will always have this.
Hmm.
It doesn't address lifestyle. It doesn't address any innate power that we have to change our environment, to change our ecosystem here. And the thing about the body is you can always, you know, pop a pill and do these things and not acknowledge the body, but the body will acknowledge you if you don't do it. If you do not do it, it will acknowledge you. It will say, I mean, hence menopause, acknowledgement all over the place. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk a lot about menopause,
oh
but
yeah.
I mean, it is, you're right. I love how you say that. It will acknowledge you because there is no escaping this physical vessel and the blessings that it has. And it's trying to talk to us through these symptoms and saying, hey, and when you're saying all this, I can't help but think of the 35-year-old me who got diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And even though I was doing readings back then and I knew, I was into energy work, I was so indoctrinated after I was in pharmaceutical sales for 6 years. In that world, I just thought, well, yeah, duh, you just take a medicine and and now all these years later, I'm trying to do the work to figure out, well, God, why did this happen? Why was I so overwhelmed? Why did it go from that to now Hashimoto's, which is, more in the autoimmune and all these kinds of things? And I'm asking myself these really deeper questions and really trying what you said, not trying to judge
Right.
myself for just kind of like hook, line, sinker, just taking a pill and just forgetting about it. And
Right.
I think that's part of a lot of our past is that to what you were saying earlier, it's like you were married for all these years, you were living this life, and then one day you said, I want more. And I
Mhm.
think it's the same with the body.
Mhm.
We go through this kind of like as we're unlocking the places that we've lied to ourselves or lived a life that isn't fully congruent,
Mhm.
eventually it comes to the body too, or the body might be the one that's actually trying to get us first to pay attention because it's so uncomfortable to be in our physical body. If we have ailments or pain or whatever. And the body's like, hey, listen up and start asking the deeper questions to heal.
Yes, I love that so much. And when you were saying that, what I was thinking was, my own personal process of walking out massive unworthiness into I'm worthy to hear my own voice and sing and share and all the things. I think about that with the body and I think, how can I create more worthiness in my
Mm,
thumb joint? How can I create more worthiness in my throat? How can I heal everything that's bothering me? How do I give it more love and release judgment that was there? Maybe it was placed elsewhere. How do I receive more? How can I create this ecosystem where I'm just receiving and floating and it's all coming to me?
mm,
And I have massive support. So when I think of autoimmune, I think of the masculine aspect, the constant grind and trying to balance the receivership, and just talking to the body saying, hey, I know, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me over and
mm.
over, you know.
The Ho'oponopono prayer. I can never say it.
Yeah,
When you're talking, you have such a rhythm and tempo to your voice. I'm mesmerized, and I'm just like, yes,
I'm trying to give that to you right now.
yeah,
I'm
I was
gonna,
like,
I'm gonna give that to your body.
yeah, I was like, I feel that, and you're right. It was for me being in the masculine and forcing and being so overwhelmed by trying to do things that weren't connected to my feminine. I mean, it's all based on my history and trying to think I got to do it all on my own. I gotta make all this money. I gotta do all these things. I gotta, everything to feel safe. And you said the grip.
Yeah, the grip.
I had a grip before, before I started doing all this work, I had a grip on life. And but when you're talking, and I can feel that, feminine energy move through you. I'm just going, oh my gosh, Carly, I can just imagine how this voice of yours is activating other women.
Mhm.
And so I do want to ask for our listeners, if they, where would they find you? Where would tell them where your music is, first of all. There's a song of yours that my daughter, my little 9-year-old, and I told my daughter, I said, this is my friend Carly, and this is her song. And I played it for my fiance too. And they're like, wow, you have a friend that makes music like this? This is amazing. And my daughter is singing along to All Things Beautiful. And I was just like, this is a really cool moment. So, where can they find you for music first and foremost?
That is so beautiful. I love hearing those stories so much. You can find me on all major platforms, Spotify, YouTube Music. Anywhere there's music, you can find it. You can look me up under Carli B, which is Carli. If you can't find it under that name, because sometimes Cardi B comes up, you can look up All Things Beautiful or Journey of No Return or No More Pretending and then look for Carly B and you'll find it anywhere where there's music. And you can go to my website too, which is carlybmusic.com. And you can find me there.
Okay.
And you can find all the women's retreat information and the podcast under soulsecrets.life.
Okay.
Um,
I know the women and hopefully even the men too that have listened to this today. I could imagine that they feel this big, like, wow, because I feel like you're speaking into everybody's hearts and saying you can do this too. It's not just for me. You just happen to be, brave enough to follow the signs and decide to start your life over, which, by the way, I really commend you for because that's not easy. It's not, right? But you've showed everybody what's possible on the other side. And I think that is just such an incredible gift that you can give to listeners. Because I think one of the things we all need in this world is hope. Hope
yeah.
to know that if they go through the dark night of the soul, that there's another side to it, that you can still, no matter, where you are at life, whether you're young, it's later in life, you can start over, you can find your voice, you can express yourself, you can move through life in entirely new ways. So thank you, Carly, for being here today and letting us see you and hear you.
Thank you. What a pleasure and honor to work with you and be here on this podcast. Thank you.
Yay. So if you guys love this episode, which I'm sure you are, please share it, subscribe, and we will see you guys again soon. Take care.